Well, here it is, September the 12th, 2022, and the smoke has cleared out. We have blue skies and a breeze, which is what cleared out the smoke. And so I thought we might take a tour of the Sand and Stones Garden. And first off, we'll just look at these cosmos, which I have wanted to have for many years, and I finally found a seed source for the particular kind that I like, which is called picote. And then as I turn around here and look towards the Sand and Stones Garden, I see that there's this very large grass in the way. I used to be able to sit here and see the whole garden, and now basically I can't see part of it because of this beautiful variegated cabaret grass, Miscanthus cultivar cabaret. But that's fine with me. That's exactly what I wanted, was for there to be a focal point there on this end of the garden, whereas over there in the back, dead center there, is the two Miscanthus Morning Light. Let me see if I can just put my finger there. Yeah, Miscanthus Morning Light. And then over on the other side is Miscanthus gracilis, or the graceful Miscanthus, and that's right there. Anyway, grasses seem to like sand. Now, let's get up and walk through the garden here. I'll hold it as best I can so you don't get seasick. Here's the entrance. This is what I call Ezra's Walk. That's my eldest grandson. And on either side of Ezra's Walk, as we are some blue-eyed grasses. Actually not a grass, they're in the iris family. Then some very nice mat-forming thyme. And then an erodium type plant similar to geraniums there and there. I think the sun's going to be a problem as far as the shade, so I may have to sort of move this way and walk through. Okay, so this is a little alyssum that I'd never heard of. Same genus as the one that you buy in the garden centers every year. One of the plants blooms pretty good and the other one doesn't. Interesting. Anyway, it's a nice gray ground cover with yellow blooms, which I think will do just fine right there. And then opposite it is one of the Stachys, here we are again with the light, Stachys densiflora. It's a white flowered form. Now, today I just planted this other grass, iridaceous, iris type grass, Cicerynchium, which blooms yellow. It's from California. And that's going to be right here next to the penstemon, which I hope will be a nice rock-loving penstemon next spring. And then we get into the sedums and other succulents. This one is John Creech, sedum spurium John Creech. Over here is another sedum. This one is setiforme, and it's struggling to form a mass there instead of getting broken off every time something goes past it. Not me, something else. Another erodium there. That blooms constantly. I mean, it started blooming in the spring and it's still blooming. Here's a mystery grass for Jose. I have no idea what that is. But I've been kind of waiting for it to bloom, and it hasn't bloomed. Or if it has, it's cryptogamous. Here's a Delosperma. And then over on the other side, another Delosperma, the white flowered one. And let's see, there's my grass, Coleria glauca. It's the same as those three over there, but I found a new one, smaller one, at the nursery, so I planted it just off center of those to make kind of an interesting little design. This is my Veronica repens. Next to it is Sedum spurium dragon's blood. And then another California Sisrinchium there, still blooming. And it's next to another sedum, which actually is in a different genus now, but it's sedum in my book, Sedum caticola, and the cultivar is Cola. Another one of those penstemons, Penstemon davidsonii. Then over on the other side here, some new plantings. This is a horticultural sedum with no parentage that I'm aware of. It looks quite a bit like it's rupestry or has some rupestry genes in it. They just call it sedum sage something brush. Sedum sage brush, and I planted it next to my sort of little pride and joy. This is my Eriophyllum lanatum from seed this year, and it's been planted in its own little place of prominence right there with those large boulders around it. Then to my left and at my feet, also more Sedum spurium. There's a Lewisia columbiana and a Sedum izun there. One of my smaller grasses is Pennisetum alopecuroides. There, I'm in my own shade again. Then next to it, Lithodora, graceward. Blooms pretty good in the spring, but then it goes quiet. And then I'm on the back side of the cabaret, and then planted around it as a ground cover are all of the beach strawberries that still have been allowed to exist. They're very, very aggressive. This is my single planting of Sedum sexangulare, or sexangulare E. Another Pennisetum. This is a native Spirea douglasii. And that's going to be a different kind of look there if it survives. More beach strawberries. Let's see. Here's our Camano Island sedum in my light again. This bloomed for the first time this year. It was really quite dainty and elegant. And now it's just quiet. There's all of the spent blooms right there. And then there it is. It says Island of Sakhalin, or Sakhalin. And another Sedum izun over here on this side. Some Delosperma cooperi there and there. Another Lewisia. Okay, getting toward the midpoint of the garden here, sort of the back half, if you will. There's my largest bearberry, or canik, Arctostaphylos uva-ursi, and two smaller ones behind it. Doing very well. I actually pruned it back a little bit this summer. Next to it, the Pacific Mist Arctostaphylos, selected by Rancho Santa Ana Botanical Garden in Claremont, California. Another Lithodora graceward. See, there's the Pacific Mist again. It's a real spreader. Another uva-ursi. And then here's something new. This is a Nephophia. One of the miniature Nephophias, not those big things. And I think I have the name over here on this broken label. There's a lot of things walking through here that just break these things off. Fire Dance. So that's Nephofia fire dance. There's another one right there, and then a third one over there. It reminded me so much of Tillandsias that I just had to have it. Here's another Stachys densiflora, and then next to it is what I think is going to turn out to be quite an addition. It's the Sedum elecombianum that I got from Jose, and it's big enough to actually hold its own place in the landscape as a major element. So I had a cutting of that, and there it is over on the other side of the path there. So I'm going to have two of these in this little area. Next to the fire dance red hot poker is Sedum album black pearl. There's one there, another one right there. This one right here I got from the Evil Mail Order nursery, and it was barely alive, and I've nursed it back to life. This one I actually got from our local nursery there in Stanwood. Another ground cover time, and then some of my blue-eyed grasses that are holding the end of the walk. So at the beginning of the walk down there are 4 blue-eyed grasses, and then here there's 3 at the end, kind of signal the end of the walk. There's some Sedum album athum here, which I'm not afraid to plant. It's a very well-behaved Sedum album. Another time, of course, here's the Sedum elecombianum again, and then another red hot poker. This was the biggest one I have. They were all the same size, but this one really took off. Then, down at the very, very end is the New Zealand moss. I just put it there just for fun. I just think it's this light's terrible. I just put it there for fun. It's Scleranthus uniflorus. Sclera is, I think, hard. So hard flower. Scleranthus. Then there's 4 Japanese blood grasses along there to hopefully someday hide this blue frame raised bed back there, which still has some borage blooming, by the way. Over to the left here, some comfrey. The roots are probably down to China by now. That's a big plant. I'm going between my morning lights here. Here's some of my Philadelphus lewisii that I'm going to have to move. It doesn't like this full sun. My old cedar stump, red cedar, western red cedar if you wish. Planted with some vacciniums from Ace Hardware, back when I thought I was going to be growing lots of blueberry stem back here. There's my heavenly blue morning glory, still trying to make it. Very, very slow, cool, wet spring kind of set that back. And here's my red huckleberry, growing as usual on a dead stump. Then over here, some more Sedum athum, and also some sexangulaire, and then more athum here. I don't know how this is going to look as far as the light. Okay, there is another one of my miscanthus. I love miscanthus grasses. This one is the yellow variegated one called strictus, and sometimes porcupine grass. And it's accompanied by some very, very yellow Sedum angelina. So I was hoping that the yellow in the sedum, would pick up the yellow in the grass. Sort of a subtle little thing there. Here's some milkweed speciosa for my monarchs if they ever come through. Here's a new planting. Got 5 Carex panzas planted around a Salix hookeriana. which has grown quite a bit. This was like a 1-gallon plant, beginning of the year. Screaming Yellow Zonkers, Rudbeckia Goldsturm. My Madrone, which looks like it's going to make it. I lost one over last winter, planted this one, and it's found a happy place. It seems to like it there. There's a Biden's, not to be confused with the fake president of the United States, blooming right now, so I'm going to make some herbarium sheets of it. It's a horrible weed. Probably came in with this quote topsoil unquote that I got, and which Jose helped me spread. Then back here, some shade-loving things, an orange mint and a Carex testacea from, I think, New Zealand. Likes it cool and wet. Some peppermint that I had to move in order to plant a calla lily for Elaine. Here are my elderberries from Missouri. That one right there, and that one right there. I was kind of afraid that the deer might get them, so I planted them in upside down tomato cages, you can see right there. And I didn't need to worry. They haven't touched them, and I think it grows so fast that even if they did, they'd just come right back. So I'm just kind of looking to see what they may do down the years. This one's already put on a few fruits there. Kind of neat, if you can see those or not. I'm going to have to get me one of those Androids like Jose that focuses at 6 inches. There's my rhubarb taking over the world, 1 yard at a time. Then my pride and joy this year. Yep, that's Lemon Queen herself. Here we go. Elevator's going up. And there's the top. They've been breaking off, as you can see here. Falling down, picking up the wind. Next to it's my Canadian goldenrod. Bees love that. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but bees seem to like small flowers. They could care less about these big fancy things. They go for the tiny little blooms. And next to it is a little composite that I've got. Can't remember the name of it right now. Let's see. Erigeron. Yeah, it's a fleabane. And it's finished blooming. It bloomed really nicely this spring. Then back here in the back, behind the goldenrod, is Holodiscus discolor, which will fit in with the Holodiscus over there. And let's see, I saw some berries. Where did I see those berries? Ah, yeah. So the Himalayan blackberry is making more seeds to be ingested by more birds who can then deposit the seeds in more places. But hey, if we're going to have to keep it, we might as well enjoy what it's got to offer. This is my other elderberry. This is our native, or it's native pretty close to here. It's a blue elderberry. So it's Sambucus cerulea. Stinging nettle. A couple of Symphoricarpus, one there, and this was actually put on some fruits this year. It's kind of cool. Planted them next to my Oemlaria, which in 2 years has grown up to about 8 feet. Now, when they get going, they just take off. It's a female. Of course, here's the famous cherry tree, doing all kinds of weird stuff up there now. Looks like it's put on another leader. I don't know what the hell to do with this thing. Then back over here in this corner, I've been kind of working on the corners this year. Oh, the light's much better. That's, what is that? Vaccinium. It's an evergreen vaccinium. Vaccinium what? Ovatum, maybe? I'm sure Jose can tell us. With the polypodiums behind it. And over here, you can see it just above the native roses, is my vine maple. And this is the woods. The woods is about 7 degrees cooler than anywhere else, especially when there's a breeze. Then along here I planted some iris, crested iris, next to my Fargesia. That's an unnamed Fargesia, it just has a number. Got it from Bamboo Nursery in Portland by mail order. And then some bracken ferns planted around this salix. Salix sculler, scullerii, scullerana, I don't know. Now here's where Philadelphias actually like to be, and that one I just planted this summer, and it's already looking better than the other two, so I'll leave that there. This is growing in the shade of a Doug fir, by the way. It's a dry shade, so it's very tricky keeping it watered. Over there are some Mahonia repens, and more here, and more here. Mahonia repens does not particularly like this climate here. I think it'd rather be up in the Rocky Mountains. But we don't have any Rocky Mountains here, so we'll just have to see what we can do. There's the back end of the bracken ferns, and over there the rest of the crested iris. This is a lazula. It's actually in cultivation now. You can go and buy one. So it's kind of a yellow form of lazula nymphosa, I believe. More polypodium, western sword ferns. The back of the house. So here's my wax myrtle. Murica cerifera. That's also was planted 2 years ago. The leader up there is 7 feet at least. My 3 chemiciperous cultivars called Leyland cypress. Get back where you can actually see them. Those were planted just as soon as I got here. As soon as I saw that bare wall there of my neighbors, I said, I need to plant something to hide that someday. So they're kind of well on their way, really. They've done very well. Not sure what's going on here. Huh. I don't remember doing that. I wonder if the wind did that. Here's my other Fargesia. It says Fargesia rufa. And as you can see, it's a low-growing bush type. Very hardy. Here's some orphaned iris, tall ones, from the farm. Need to find a home for them. And then back over here is the nursery with all the plants that I'm going to soon be wondering where I'm going to put for the winter. There's a voluntary alder plant, red alder. It's about the same age as my youngest grandson, whose middle name is Alder. So I said, let's let it go. There's some of my pets down there, some sedums and liriope and orange mint, and over there's a kind of a cool Ophiophagon. Which one this one is? Let's see. Ophiophagon. Himalayan mondo grass. Has promise. I think it's very nice looking. Over here is the sedum emarginatum. Moved from the Sand and Stones garden to the bowl there. some ferns that I inherited when I moved in here that had been planted under the decks trying to survive, so I took them out and planted them up. I won't go through the whole nursery spiel. Suffice it to say that there's the usual sedums and beet strawberries waiting to become a ground cover somewhere. Same with the ophiopagons, the mondo grasses. There's my venerable jade right there. So from the soil in the pot to the top of the leaves, about, let's say 2 feet. Here's all of my mallows. That's common mallow there. Malva sylvatica, I think. And then the musk mallow, Malva moschata, which doesn't like the sun. However, the common mallow certainly does. And some chocolate mint. And Containerville. And basically South African plants with some spattering dikeas. Spattering of dikeas. And this is the cactus collection, of course. That's Coryphantha missouriensis, Escobaria missouriensis, and no other names. Then the neighborhood opuntia that I adopted. Some cuttings from my Colorado Slim cholla that I got from Geoscape. And some more sedums back there. These are all fragilis here. These are the Mywenia patagonica seedlings. Seem to be doing okay, despite the fact that I had no idea what I was doing when I transplanted them. Some grasses here, including some Festuca idahoensis. And my fingers are getting sore from holding this thing. Now I know why these people have these holders that they walk around with on wands. So there's the sand and stones garden from afar. You can kind of see it as far as the shade line goes. And I'm at 27 minutes. It'd probably take about 4 hours for me to upload this, so I don't want to go too much longer. But there we are. Oh, and I forgot to mention the Cistus cultivar jester. This thing has been in the ground for a year and it just took off. It had just become huge. It was engulfing everything. So I limbed it up down there. You can see the bare stems there. And then I rounded it up with some judicious pruning on top. By the way, that is such a gummy plant that I had to wash my pruning shears with alcohol and Gooby Gone before I could get it all off again. So I'm assuming that coating on the leaves is a drought-tolerant device. These things live, like in Corsica and Sardinia and other Mediterranean places like that. Of course, more sedums. This one is Immergrüchen. Yeah, evergreen is what that means in German. Unfortunately, it's a hybridum, Immergrüchen. Unfortunately, not all of my sedums are. These Kamchaticums get pretty dormant. Anyway, that's enough of all that. I'll go ahead and sign off for now, and at least I'll have this record of what my yard looked like in 20, 21, 22. That's 3 growing seasons. Not too bad. So adios for now.